Jesus said, "Man cannot live on bread alone, but from every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." You're listening to Daily Truth.
I'm simply saying we need to get back to the scripture because the sojourner matters. And we are not just suggested, but commanded to care for the sojourner and to exercise hospitality, but never in such a way that we are literally sacrificing our own children. And that's where Western civilization is right now. Western civilization has lost not just the French. I mean, they're a stark example of it right now, but in a greater sense, the West has lost the will to live. I don't know if you've ever read, I believe it's called The Fate of Empires. It's not even a book, really. It's like 60-something pages. It's 2 essays put together. I forget the author's name, but he talks about, he says, instead of just doing history with a particular nation or a 50-year timeline in a very limited geographic area, one particular culture, he says, what we have not done much of is what I would consider to be world history. And so what he does is he just gives a brief 30,000-foot view of not just one particular nation, but world history. So taking into account every single place, in the world over the course of not 50 years, but over the course starting all the way back with like Egypt and Assyrians. So over the course of like 35 to 4,500 years. And he tracks the most successful and powerful empires. And that's helpful because in many ways, it's helpful to think of the West, especially America today and England, maybe 100 years ago, as empires more than nations. But here's the problem with empires. One of the problems of empires is that as they're going around with, their white supremacy, oppressing and colonizing everyone, like England going into India and saying, you can't bury women alive with their dead husband anymore. Sorry to oppress you. But as the West was doing that kind of oppressive work, not saying everything they did was right, but overall, we need some new history books. If you got a history book that was written in the last 15 minutes, burn it. Okay? The West is not sinless, but the West is not the most oppressive. That's why we're suicidal right now. You know what the most powerful thing at the end of the day for these United States, the most powerful thing at the end of the day that turns out that could take us down, no foreign enemy could take us down. But if you could convince the citizens themselves that they were racist, then they'd fall on their own sword, commit suicide, and lose the will to live. That's Europe. And we're heading the same direction. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy.